All right, guys, the combine is officially over. We now have a lot of new information that we did not have before. So we get to now talk about what did we learn this weekend? What happened? Should we be moving players drastically up, drastically down, or should we be a little more level-headed about what happened this weekend? And obviously, this is new information for us, so we do want to make sure that we are reacting in some way, shape, or form, but we don't want to overreact. So let's make sure that we talk about all the great things that happened. And but before we do that, Pete's going to be hanging out with us tonight, talking all things combine. Pete, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing great. I did some plumbing today.
Plumbing, okay.
Yeah, so that was nothing bad happened yet.
PVC or like what were you using?
It was metal. It was working on the shower. Working on the shower.
Hey, there you go. New shower head? Or
no, it was leaky. Everything was leaky.
Happily,
I did not make more leaks. Made some sourdough bread, as I tend to do.
Living bread, yep.
And then played some Arc Raiders.
Nice,
so
nice. I've heard of that game. I've never played, but I have heard of it.
I think you would enjoy it.
You think so?
Definitely not a game to play. Start playing around draft season though. You don't got the time for that.
Yeah, I'm I'm a nerd, so I enjoy some of that kind of stuff. But there's only certain times a year that I have that extra free time, and this time of year is not one of those times.
Do you remember us playing Warzone together?
I do.
That was a long time ago, but that was fun.
That would have been back in like what, 01?
Yeah. 2001.
Yeah. Oh yeah, not 01. I do that all the time.
Back in the aught ones.
In the aughts.
Yeah.
We were back in almost the 20th century.
I was 6 or 7.
Right. There you go. All right, so let's talk about the combine here. Lots of really interesting things to talk about here. VJ Pep, what's up, man? How's it going? Mike Washington, I promise we will be talking Mike Washington. If you guys have consumed any content that was from me in the past 2 or 3 months, you know that I am a big Mike Washington fan. So we will definitely be talking about him. And we'll be talking about the tight end. We'll be talking about the wide receivers. I don't think there's much to talk about at the quarterback position. There's not a lot of really great updates there, but we'll touch on it here and there. But let's start off at the running back position. And, we got to talk about guys that we think really changed the narrative around them. And honestly, for the most part, most of the running backs did not change their narrative much. You had a guy towards the top like Jonah Coleman, didn't really do anything. So he didn't get a chance to really move much. We'll see what he does at his pro day. Jadarian Price did. Jadarian Price had an okay weekend, came in with a 4.49 40-yard dash, which is solid, which is very solid. I would have felt a lot better about that had he been in the in like the 210 to 215 range, but he weighed in at 203. That's a little bit concerning to me, especially when we saw a lot of these guys actually have very good times overall. For him to have that kind of time at that weight didn't really impress me. So overall, a little bit disappointed in Jadarian Price, if I'm being honest, at the combine. So he was a little bit of a letdown for me. We saw a guy that I actually like as a sleeper, Robert Henry. He was a little bit of a disappointment for me too. Not only did he not run a great 40 for being an undersized running back, but Pete switched to the 10-yard split. Look at who the two slowest guys were at the 10-yard split. Jadarian Price, Robert Henry Jr. Tells me that they're not getting off quick. Now, there's two ways to interpret this. Either A, they're just not track guys, and so that didn't work out great for them. The second possibility there is maybe they're not as accelerating as quickly as some other names here. So all in all, I don't think those two guys helped themselves very much. I also don't think Emmett Johnson helped himself very much. He's not the biggest running back in this draft, so I wanted to see some better numbers out of him. At only 5'10", 202, you want to see some better numbers. We did not get that, unfortunately, out of him. Let's see, what was his? I'm on the splits right now. He had a 1.59 split, which is just okay. What was his 40? Wasn't it like a 4.6 or something like that?
4.56.
4.56. So the slowest 40 time out of all the guys that ran. Now we know that there are some slower 40 times than that. But that being said, just because of Katron Allen didn't run and all that kind of stuff, we do have to take this into account. If you're going to be sub 210 and you can't break 4.5, I'm worried. I am worried. So overall, we'll get to the guy that obviously improved his stock in a second. But
Jeremiah Love
definitely improved his stock. He went from the number 8th overall pick to the number 7th overall pick in the NFL draft. But realistically, like, do you see any of these guys as like maybe not red flags, but at least a yellow flag?
Oh yeah, I mean the ones that you talked about is like, especially when you weigh less than expected, but run slower than expected. That's just not a good combination. Like I'm fine with running backs running slower, a little bit slower if they weigh more, obviously. Yeah. But other than that, nothing really sticking out to me in this amazing generational running back class of 2026.
Yeah. Best class of all time. Mm-hmm. McCowan actually had a decent weekend for him. Ran a sub 4.5, which was good. 4.49. But what he really impressed with was the vertical and the broad jump. Had the best in both of those areas. So this shows that he is a pretty explosive athlete overall. So I would say a little bit of stock up for Seth McCowan. But the biggest one is the guy that we've been talking about pretty much ad nauseum, honestly. And that's Mike Washington. Mike Washington came in at 223 pounds. So it's not like he cut a ton of weight. He's still a, over 220 pound back at 6'1", but ran a 4.33. Now, I've talked about his tape speed, that I thought he was a legitimate, like he could run in the low 4.4s. I really thought he could. He even surprised me a little bit. I didn't necessarily think he was going to get in the like low 4.3s. So that even surprised me. Like if it had been in like a 4.38, 4.39, I'd have been like, okay, we're right there. We're right there. But with this guy running a 4.33, I mean, Mike Washington's got to at least solidify himself on people's boards. For me, he doesn't really move much because I was already really high on it. And I want to make sure that I am careful not to double count. And Pete, you and I were actually kind of talking about this earlier. If there are guys that we expect to come in with good height and weight, and they do come in with good height and weight, we're not like, oh, move them up a little bit. No, we already thought that they had that. We already thought they were fast. We already thought they were strong. We already thought they were whatever. So we can't double count that and give guys extra marks because of that.
Yeah. This is an interesting question. Washington or Trey Benson?
That's tricky. That's really tricky because right now you don't really know where Benson or where Washington's going to be. We don't know his draft capital. We don't know his path to relevancy. Trey Benson obviously has a fairly clear path as to what could happen, but it's a new staff, which could be a good thing for him, could be a bad thing for him. Yeah. So things are kind of up in the air. As crazy as it may seem, I think today solidified that I'm not crazy. Washington is a very explosive player, and especially at that size. And I already liked what I saw on tape. So for me, I think Washington locked in a day 2 draft selection with the combine. I think he's going in the second or third round. I think it's more likely the third round, but I think he's going in the second or third round now.
Yeah.
With that, I'm going to take, Benson was already a third round guy that just hasn't given us anything. If I can re-roll, I'm probably going to re-roll at this point. So I think I'm going to go Washington here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I liked Benson coming out of Florida State, but
I did too.
It was just, but the tape, I don't want to have recency bias, right? I really like Washington's tape. So I'm going Washington. It's reroll type thing. I'm in the same boat. Is Benson going to have a higher nerd score? You think
Benson will probably still have the slightly higher nerd score? I was high on him in the class, and you know what? For as many running backs as we've done well with, so far that's looking like a swing and a miss. It looks like this isn't working out for Benson. There's still a chance, definitely still a chance, but I do think he'll have a higher. Right now, overall, I do not have any player at or above a 74 in this class, with the exception of Jeremiah Love. So everybody else everybody else kind of just shows that it's just not that good.
Yeah. Have you done your deep dives on Randall and McGowan yet?
So I've moved on from running back to wide receiver. There were 3 or 4 guys that I was like, I need to get to them at some point on a deep dive, but I really need to start getting to the wide receivers. McCowan is one guy that I did not get to. I have done my deep dive on Randall. I'm lukewarm on him. His nerd score is going to be more underwhelming than how I feel about him. The hard part is he looked like a guy that converted from wide receiver to running back. Like literally, I didn't know that at a time. And I watched within the first 3 snaps, I was like, this guy had to have been a wide receiver before this, because you could tell his tempo and gait were more like a wide receiver. He was tall, like really tall. Like I think maybe too tall, which sounds crazy, but at some point at running back, if you have too big of an area to hit, like that's not good. So I honestly think he's a little bit too big. And they were deploying him as a wide receiver, and he looked good doing that. So I think that's a thing for me where I'm like, I actually don't know if this could work. But anytime that you can't coach 6'3", 230 pounds, you just can't.
Yeah.
So if there was a way to make it work, it would be as that kind of H-back, running back, tight end kind of hybrid that does a lot in the receiving game. I think that's the way that he could be successful overall. But ran a solid 40 for a guy of his size. So he's got decent long speed. So I feel decent about him. But we'll have to see with McGowan. But yes, I did talk about him early. He's one of the few guys that I do think slight tick up for me overall from the combine. But remember, these are all just slight. Because realistically, and Caden mentioned this. You can highlight his comment, Pete. Overall, the 40-yard dash, the combine drills and measurables and all that kind of stuff are one of the smallest pieces of the pie for me. Like when I'm talking about how I'm evaluating all of it, when we look at like that total picture, combine and how they do in the combine is like 10% of it.
Would you say the weigh-ins are more important?
I would say they're just as important as the 40
just
times.
Just
as important as the drills. Like, I don't think the 40 time is the end all be all. And in fact, I think it is a little overrated, especially when we get to wide receivers. I feel a little bit better about it for running back, but even there, it's like only a few guys are ever running 40 yards. You have to break a big play to actually run 40 yards as a running back. So it doesn't happen all the time. I more care about those splits. And that's why those splits were concerning to me. Those 10-yard splits. That's concerning to me. If you're running below a 1.6, that is a little concerning for me. Could just be that they're just not track speed guys and they don't have good get off because of that. Maybe they have better acceleration in actual game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am. We'll see. All right. So before we go to the talking more about the receivers, talking about tight ends, and you guys can ask more questions about running backs. So we'll wrap up running backs here in a second. But this is your 5-minute warning. In 5 minutes, we are only going to be on Draft Nerds. So if you're watching on Facebook, you're watching on Twitch, you're watching even on the Dynasty Nerds YouTube, we are going to only be on the Draft Nerds YouTube here in the next 5 minutes. So if you're there, I'd recommend right now switching over to Draft Nerds so that way you can stay in with us. Pete put those links there in the chat so you guys can seamlessly move from one stream to the other because we will be exclusively on Draft Nerds here momentarily. All right. Any other questions about running backs that you guys want to know? Any of my evaluations, any of the combine stuff, any of that kind of stuff? Anybody, any questions on that?
Really fast, the 202 or Trey Benson. Where are you at with that?
So it's funny because we did just talk about, like, would you rather Mike Washington or Trey Benson? And I think I would slightly rather Mike Washington and just re-roll it. That being said, it's close, but I do think that's probably the range that you're getting Mike Washington. So
if he goes in the second, though, you'd have to think.
I mean, if he goes in the second, he's going in the first round of rookie drafts for sure. But even in the third round, like, it's hard to know if he'll still be there at this point.
Yeah.
We're going to have to see how it all plays out. But
yeah, landing spot, really. If he has a good landing spot, even in the third round.
All right. So, Pete, if you want, actually, we just earlier today launched a new page where we have all of the combine information ready for you at dynastynerds.com. So we have all of this data, and it's like a really convenient chart. So I wanted to make sure it was updated, and it looks like we're fully updated there. So if you're looking for all that draft information or all that combine information, all of the things that have been done so far for the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, all on a very nice, convenient sheet there for everybody. So
it was something we wanted to support a smaller site like NFL.com, and now
we're just trying to pump up their numbers.
Yeah, go subscribe to NFL.com's YouTube page.
Shout out.
I'm sure they're great. Okay, so here's our page. So are we hopping to wide receiver?
We did have one more running back question, so I'll answer that real quick. But let's go ahead and switch. We're gonna be now Draft Nerds only, so we're only on Draft Nerds now. So we'll be switching over to just that. But yeah, the question here: has my running back 2 changed because of the combine, or was it always Washington? I'm going to say this. The order that I had it in pre-combine, Jeremiah Love in his own tier, far and above everybody else. Then there is a huge gap, like there's tiers in between that are just not filled. Then I think all 3 of Coleman, Price, Washington, I think all 3 of those guys are in the same tier. And that was the order I had it in. And for now, I'm going to stay with that. So it is Coleman, then Price, then Washington. But I will say this. This has encouraged me to go back and watch even more on all of these guys, because I do think that this is going to be it's been my tier the entire time, that second tier for me. It's been those 3 guys. And this, if anything, confirmed it at the combine. So I need to go back and rewatch and dig even deeper because that's how close all three of these guys are. I mean, they are all going to be within a point of each other. So right now, as I have it, let me double check what I have today. So right now it's Jonah Coleman, 73.9. Jadarian Price, 73.45. Mike Washington Jr., 73.38. So, I mean, they are all within, 7/10 of a point of each other. So they're all going to be really, really close. But those are all still fairly low scores considering what we had in the past at running backs 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
What are the ranges of other players in the past, just so they can place the scores a little bit better?
So you're talking about like previous
other
years?
running backs around that score.
Let me
like from last couple years.
All right.
If you don't have that, I can pull that up.
Well, I'll give you mine because I know the nerds one is like the overall nerd score is like me and Jared together. So this is just me. So when I'm looking at players that are in the 73s, here's who I have from the past few years. Now, there's some good names in here and there's total duds because you really want to be over a 75. That's really the range of like, okay, these guys are super legit. Even really 75.5 is really where you want to be above. But all that being said, I have Travis Etienne, Cam Akers, Kenneth Walker, Caleb Johnson, Kendre Miller, Tank Bigsby. Those are the guys with a 73 that start with a 73.
Man, Kendre Miller.
Yeah, I let Jared talk me into him. I wasn't big on him. But he got a solid score. But
yeah.
Oh, actually, you know what? That is actual nerd score now that I look at it. Ooh. That is not just mine. I was gonna say I didn't think I was that high on it. Hold on, let me see if I can find just mine.
As you just changed the number on your keyboard.
Yeah, these will never change. They're locked in forever. No, because as I was looking at it, I realized a couple guys were in a weird order, and I was like, I don't think I had that guy that high. So let me check that. As I'm checking that,
yes,
Pete, for you this weekend, was there any player that really stood out to you that you were like, I really like this guy?
I mean, for me, it was Mike Washington. It was just what he showed on tape. Wide receiver. I mean, obviously, Sadiq running that 40 was amazing. Like that was just one of those, you just have to appreciate it at that size. Other than that, though.
Oh,
close
he's
up.
Gone. There you go.
There we go. I'm just gonna need to remove that scene. That's the tight end class looks really good.
The tight end class put up some numbers for sure.
Yeah. So that's probably my biggest mover as a whole is the tight end class. Because I think that there's a very good chance that we see some very good draft capital from people like a Stowers. Obviously, how high do you think Sadiq's going to get drafted in the NFL draft?
I think he goes top 20. I would be surprised if he fell outside the top 20.
Yeah. So having a tight end get drafted top 20 and then Stowers, do you think that he solidified like first round potentially, or is he still a second round type of tight end for the NFL draft?
So did you say Stowers first round?
Yes.
I still think he's second round. I don't think he's enough of an all-around player for a team to take him in the first. But it's close because when you look at him compared to wide receivers, which is basically what he is, he's a wide receiver, we're looking at some ridiculous numbers. So, all right, I'm having a hard time finding my all-time. I'm terrible at multitasking, trying to host a show and look up stuff at the same time. So just trust me, it's a hit and miss range. 73 is, there's some good players, there's some bad players. It can be a bit of a landmine, but you definitely want to be over that, like 75 and a half is really where you get those next level running backs. All right, so let's get into wide receivers here, because I think there's some interesting narratives around the wide receivers right now. The big three, we didn't get to learn a lot of new things about the big three, which I think for some people is frustrating. Jordan Tyson didn't do anything, so that in of itself can be a bit frustrating. Mekhi Lemon did at least come out and run routes, so that was kind of cool that we got to see him out there. But even with that, I don't know that we learned a lot of new things about him. He seemed to get a lot of bad throws while he was out there as well. He looked solid in the gauntlet. He dropped the first one, but overall the gauntlet looked really solid for him. So, but I don't know that we learned anything new. Tate's the only one that we learned something.
Yeah.
But look, if anybody's upset about the 4.54, I don't know what to tell you. They were even talking to Billy Bean, the GM of the Bills. He's like, yeah, that's slow. You should just let that guy fall. And this is a guy that's picking in the 20s. So of course he would love for him to fall to him. Team that desperately could use a wide receiver like Carnell Tate. So look, this is a non-story for me. If he ran a 4.7, okay, let's reevaluate. Let's talk. But 4.54 is totally fine. Totally fine. I think we got spoiled this year. I think we got some ridiculous times. Some guys are freaks. But when you have that many positions breaking records, that tells me there's one of two things happening. Either A, it's because all the slow guys are just backing out, so it makes the mediocre guys look worse. Or B, that's just a ridiculously fast track or something slightly off with the times or something, because to have that many players and that many position groups overall, like, have record breaking times, just shows you, like, I don't know, it's weird. So
yeah. Well, what was JSN's 40?
I want to say
slow.
I think he was in the high 4.4s. I don't remember.
I thought he was like, because I remember 4.5. He was 4.
Or that was at the pro day though.
Yeah, at the combine it was a 4.52.
Okay, so I mean, this basically the same time. No, actually, it shows here he didn't run at the combine.
Oh, thanks AI.
Thanks a lot, AI. You suck.
If I Google stuff and like the huge part where they give me the answer is not true, then what are we even doing here, man?
It's probably from Reddit. Is probably what it's from.
Reddit's always right.
Oh, that's true. All right. So I don't think much changed as far as that information goes. There's definitely some guys that moved up and down for me, and it has less to do with the times and more watching their movement and fluidity against their peers. I'll say one guy for me that really impressed was Jacoby Lane. I really liked what I saw out of Jacoby Lane. Now, he actually did also impress in the 40, because when you're nearly 6'5" and you're running sub 4.5 40s, that's pretty good. He ended up running a 4.47, but even more impressively, 4.51 in the 10-yard split. That was one of the best in the class overall. So he legitimately has good speed. He has some good takeoff speed. He has good long speed. And watching him in the drills, the fluidity with which he plays with, the natural plucking ability that he has. I don't know. For me, he was arguably the guy that moved up the most for me, I think. And I'll talk about him in a video tomorrow too. I'll be doing some combine winners and losers and things like that. But yeah, he was a really big one for me that really moved up. Obviously, you have a guy like Brennan Thompson that everybody's going to get excited about because of the good 40. But once again, you look at that top 10 list of fastest 40s. And honestly, if you look at the top 25 list, I think all of the top 25 wide receivers of all time, there's like one hit in that group. It's a pretty depressing group overall. So that's kind of a non-starter for me. I honestly think the 40-yard dash is pretty overrated for the wide receivers unless they're doing something drastically different than what I expected. And Lane was a guy that I thought was going to be not only lock for 4.5s and maybe even nip a 4.6, but I was worried about the takeoff speed, and he totally blew that out of the water. So I think that was the complete opposite for me, honestly.
Yeah, I'm looking at here. Let's just look at this really fast. Just for fun. I feel like this is a good reminder about the combine. Is these are the top performers of all time.
Okay.
Ed Worthy, John Ross, Brennan Thompson, Henry Ruggs, Marquise Goodwin, Thomas Thornton. You have to go all the way down to Brian Thomas Jr. Will Fuller had some years.
At a moment.
But then you keep on, and then you have DK.
I think DK's really the only one that we can say had sustained levels of success. We expect Brian Thomas Jr. to do that as well. Mm-hmm. But the only guy right now with a 4.33 or better that had sustained levels of success is DK Metcalf. That's it.
Yep. And
he was even more rare because he was massive and did it at a massive size. Yep. So like he was kind of even more of a unicorn than guys that are doing it at 5'8", 170 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Randy Moss, Tyreek Hill would have been on the 40 if they participated. Yep.
Probably that's so. True. Definitely Tyreek. Moss is hard to know. He was definitely crazy fast. But I don't know. It's hard to know that if he would have really been able to break into the low 4.3s is absurd. It really is absurd.
This is a great comment also. But it is odd seeing a top wide receiver run a 4.5 at 197 pounds and a tight end run a 4.3 at 240.
Yeah, it is weird. I will agree with that. It is like odd to see, but also it's like it doesn't translate. There's no correlation to football success and the 40-yard dash specifically at wide receiver. Now there is at the tight end position. So that is good news for Sadiq. But other than that, there's no correlation there. So I don't know. I don't really care.
Yeah. On this, I've seen this come up a couple times. Okay. This is my take on Sadiq. And you can say true or false.
Okay.
The people who won the combine this year were the people who have 106 in dynasty leagues. Not because Sadiq bumped himself into the big tier of the three wide receivers, but because there's a high chance of someone picking Sadiq instead of one of the three and having one of those wide receivers fall to 106. Is that kind of what you're at?
I'm closer to that than not, because here's the hard part for me. I do feel like, at least specifically with Sadiq, we'll get to Stowers in a second, but I feel like specifically with Sadiq, we thought he was going to be freaky athletic. Now, once again, I think it was even maybe freakier than we thought, and so that's why there's even more of a bump. But realistically, if a tight end at 6'3", so he's not like this towering guy. If a tight end at 6'3" runs a 4.3 4.39, so 4.4 basically, or a 4.5 or a 4.49, whatever. Is that going to make a drastic difference in whether or not the linebacker or safety was going to be able to cover them? I don't think so. I think they were going to have a hard time with that level of speed either way. So I don't think him running historically fast changes anything from him running a 4.49. So I think that's the thing for me is like, did the thing that surprised us change how much better he could be at the next level? And I don't think it does personally.
Do you think that the biggest outcome, the most notable outcome from this is that a NFL team is probably just going to draft him higher in the draft? Do you think that actually affected his draft stock?
I think,
or is that more of like the media hype?
No, I think it does. I mean, you look once again. I'll bring up Brandon Bean again. They asked him like, "Do you care about the 40-yard dash?" He's like, "Absolutely, I do." He's like, "Yeah, so we have a lot of other tracking metrics and stuff like that, but I want to see what these guys do in this drill." So even though we know specifically at receiver, there is more of a correlation at tight end. But it means very little. It means something because the GMs and scouts say it means something. And so it does affect how they draft them. However, being drafted earlier might not be a good thing. Like, is that going to put them with a better quarterback situation? Because tight end is one of the most dependent of all of these guys, one of the most dependent on scheme and quarterback. There are some quarterbacks that just don't target, or some schemes that just don't target the tight end as frequently as others do.
Yeah.
Specifically, teams with like a running quarterback, they're not going to check it down as much. Who are the typical check down guys? Running backs and tight ends. So we're going to see like numbers fall a little bit from that, or, different things like that. So I don't know that going to a worse team, it all depends on who their quarterback is. But typically you have worse quarterbacks and younger quarterbacks that are trying to figure out and make it work. The younger guys tend to tuck it and run, or take sacks more often. The older veterans are more than willing to get rid of the football quicker, not run it, and not take as many sacks. And so we typically see a little bit better production from those running backs and those tight ends. So,
you know what he sounds like? The perfect David Njoku replacement on the Browns, baby.
So we have another controversy between him and Fannin.
Yep.
There you go. But I do think I would be surprised if he gets past Carolina at 19. I think he's fairly locked for top 20.
Okay. That's where OJ Howard was drafted, pick 19.
There you go. Had a little stretch there.
Had a little stretch.
Let's talk more of these wide receivers here.
Yep.
Another guy had a big day. This was a Senior Bowl guy, pre-Senior Bowl, that I was excited about, and then he kind of blew up at the Senior Bowl. And Ted Hurst, nearly 6'4". He had a 4.42 in the 40. But the thing that I liked the most, actually, was the fact that he came in at over 200 pounds. That was the thing that I needed to see, because he came in to the Senior Bowl and weighed 208. And with him weighing 208, that was a far cry from what he was listed at in college at 185. And so with that listing being so different, I was curious, was he going to drop a lot of weight to try to run a fast 40? He was still well above 200 pounds and ran a good 40. And you can see there on our little card, that's broad jump in the class 2, which tells us we have a legitimately explosive athlete here. I don't know if he ever becomes an X. He has a chance to. He's got the size. He's got the build. I think he's got really good hands. We saw him with a nice correction on an underthrown deep ball in the drills. We saw the one-handed snag at the combine or at the Senior Bowl. So I think he could, but at worst case scenario, I think he could be a next level Z. That could be one of those players that, even though he's the wide receiver 2 on his team, has enough athletic ability if he's in a good offense to be a wide receiver 2 in fantasy football as well. So I'm really impressed with everything I'm seeing out of Ted Hurst.
Do you have a comparable for him? NFL player?
That's a good question because I've done quite a few comps. I have not given a comp for Ted Hurst yet. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that because I don't want to just pull one out of my butt. Because I'll have to think about it.
Truthfully said, though, most comps I've seen on Twitter are exactly that.
It's true. Every comp that I've given, I've taken like a bunch of time, like researching prospects, similar weight, similar size, similar play style, similar. Like I really try to make them locked in. So I don't like to give just willy-nilly comps. So yeah, I don't have a good one right now for Ted Hurst.
Okay. He reminds me, oh man, that Florida State wide receiver in like 2021 that was drafted by the Seahawks. You guys did a film nerds breakdown of him. I don't want to. Do you remember? And he dropped because of
he got arrested or something.
Mm-hmm. But he was just very physically gifted.
I'll have to go back and
try
to figure out his name. Yeah. It was like 2000 or 2020 or 2021.
Yeah.
It was right in that range, but I remember who you're talking about. Can't think of his name now though. I did like him though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but he was awesome.
Just a knucklehead, unfortunately. All right, let's keep this thing moving. Is Omar Cooper still moving up my list? Yeah, I thought he had a good day. Nothing surprising for him. About the size I was expecting, about the 40 that I was expecting. He's a player that's best with pads on. So the combine just doesn't really tell me much for him. So I still really like him. He's pretty safely in my top 5 to 6 wide receivers. I'll see where his exact score ends up being. But yeah, I don't know. How often do we see sub 200 pound wide receivers and not fast working though? Yeah, we don't see sub 200 pound guys that are super fast. It's almost never. If you're gonna be running a sub 4.4, especially a sub 4.35, that's awesome. I want to see you do it at 195, 200, 205. I don't want to see you doing it at 175. That does nothing for me. So I think that's a great point there. Kane says he's going to be taking Taylon Green in the 3rd round of almost every draft. Hey, look, why not? In the 3rd round, we're going for ceiling. One of the most athletically gifted quarterbacks we've ever seen. So why not? Even if he just can become Terrell Pryor, what Terrell Pryor was for a little bit. Cool. That's awesome. It was worth a 3rd round pick.
Awesome.
All right.
Did we talk about Skylar Bell?
I haven't talked much about Skylar Bell. I do like Skylar Bell. I think he is I think he had a better testing day than I was expecting for him, which is one of those ones where it's okay, might move up my list a little bit because of that. I wasn't quite sure what kind of athlete he really was, but he tested better than I thought he was going to test. Ran a 4.4 40, 4.15, had the good long jump, broad jump. So I think he's one of the smarter players in the class at his position. And so if he can be a solid athlete too, I'm pretty excited about that. So yeah, I think he will be moving up my board. One other player for me, actually I think there's two others that impressed me today. Obviously, the numbers for Bryce Lance, all really, really good numbers. I did have a little bit when I was like watching some of the drills. There were a couple things that I was like, I don't know. I don't know about that. But we'll see. But definitely athletically freak. I really liked watching Antonio Williams in all the drills. Wide receiver for the Clemson Tigers. I was blanking for a second. Clemson Tigers. Really liked what I saw out of him, and kind of a deep cut guy that I thought looked good on a lot of his routes, and I thought he looked pretty good in drills as well. It's Dazon Stribling from Ole Miss. I was watching a little bit of his tape and I didn't hate it. Ran that 4.36. I don't know that he's an X, but I think he could be a good Z receiver at the next level. So another guy that did impress me quite a bit over the course of this combine. Jeremy Bernard, also solid. Without testing, do I think Chris Bell will go round 1? I don't know. That seems fishy to me, especially with the injury and all that. That seems fishy.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Boston looked really good in the gauntlet. I thought so too. So did Casey Concepcion, which he didn't run the 40, but Casey Concepcion was like a secret winner of the combine, because even though he didn't really do much, what he did do was a big deal. He looked really fluid and smooth in the gauntlet. Came in at 5'11 and 5'8. Much taller than people were projecting. Like, is he going to be kind of like Zachariah Branch, who we'll get to in a second? Is he kind of like Zachariah Branch, where listed at one height, but is actually an inch or two shorter than that? No, he's every bit of that. Weighed 196. So we're talking like same weight as like Cardinal Tate. I think he might have even been a couple pounds heavier. So weighed in really good as well. And then looked really clean in the gauntlet drill. Like very natural catcher of the football. So I will be very interested to see what happens with Concepcion. But definitely a like quiet winner of the draft for sure.
Tamorian Terry,
yes. Yep.
Yeah, it was driving me absolutely bonkers, man.
All right. Let's get to some guys that did not impress me overall. I think the most obvious one is Malachi Fields. Malachi Fields, he weighed in good, which we knew. He had the good size, which we knew. We knew all of that stuff. Smaller hands than I was expecting at only 9 inches, which is not like awful.
Ooh, Kenny Pickett hands.
But definitely not like big hands for such a big dude. But then on top of that, ran a 4.61 at a combine where everyone seems to be just crushing. That's concerning to me. Like, yeah, because he's not a guy that I would say is a clean prospect. He's not a guy that's like this special route runner. It's, I'm bigger than you, I'm stronger than you. And I thought he was going to be faster, but clearly he's not. So I think that's I don't want to get, it's not a death sentence once again, not a death sentence. I don't love to see that. The other thing for me are a couple other guys that I think didn't help themselves. I thought Elijah Surratt did not look very good in his drills. I thought he looked slow-footed. He had a decent amount of drops. Just wasn't as fluid. I did not really like what I saw out of his drills. So for me, he was a little bit of a faller overall. I'm trying to think, was there anybody else that really blew me away or disappointed at wide receiver?
I'm curious. We didn't really talk about Branch.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about his combine?
Yeah. Branch came in smaller than expected, which when you are already expecting a guy to be undersized, and then they're fairly significantly more undersized than you expected them to be. Second shortest player in the draft. He's under 5'9", only 177 pounds, 9-inch hands. I mean, the 4.35 is cool, but he lines up perfectly with a lot of those other guys that have run good 40 times, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was underwhelmed. I think he's another one that didn't really help himself much in the draft. I'm trying to think. We haven't touched on Stowers yet. Stowers had a freaky good day. Stowers had like a really, really good day. This was last night, obviously. Not like, I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. Not a huge surprise that he tested really well. So I don't want to double count it, but I feel like I need to like 1.5 times count it. And I can't even take credit for that. Somebody else said that on Twitter, but like it was enough better than I expected where I'm like, wow, that really kind of blew me away how freaky of an athlete he was. So I think for me, Eli Stowers, like stock very cleanly going up. With that, as we'll keep talking for a little bit, but we're going to do live here with you guys. I want to see how everyone feels at this point. We're going to do a live mock draft post combine edition. Pete, before you send the links out to everybody, make sure you send it to me so that way I get in here.
Can't you just type it in? You can see the URL, right?
There you go.
There it is. I sent it to you.
Perfect. All right. So I'll get in here. Pete, are you gonna hop in or no?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
I'm gonna go towards the end.
I'll pick 106.
Oh, okay. You're gonna take that cliff.
I'll
there.
see.
I respect it.
Or maybe it's not a cliff.
Maybe it's not.
Maybe
That's the
someone
question.
might jump up. Okay, we ready for the link to drop?
All right, drop the link.
Link is dropping.
All right,
3
so you guys
rounds,
can hop in
or
with
how
us.
many rounds are you thinking?
Let's do. You have 3. That's perfect.
Perfect. Man, that's one of the nicest things you ever said to me.
I mean, Pete, you're a stud. What can I say?
That's true. I can't disagree with that. Okay. Anything on the quarterbacks?
Taylor Green's freaky good. It's Nussmeier's throws look good, but I put so little stock in throws against air.
Yeah.
Like Klubnik looked really good, but it's easy to throw when there's nobody in your face. I don't know. I just put very, very little stock in all of that.
For good reason. Okay, we still got a couple spots left. If we need to, I will go to the Twitter. But
No, this group has it. We've got like 40 some people here
at least 44
at minimum.
Okay. Did we miss anyone?
I think we covered all the guys that
what about any other tight ends?
there were definitely some that had good days. Not enough so where I feel like I want to take a ton of time to talk about the tight ends, but that's also partially because that's the least work I've done as far as like tape scouting. So I want to give more time to the tape first because I think it deserves that, and then we'll move on to the combine stuff and see how much does that match up, how does that not match up, things like that. So
yeah, great.
All right, 2 spots left.
2 spots left.
3 spots. 3 spots.
3 spots left. Trade question here.
Okay.
I traded Lamar for Danny Dimes, 103, Saquon, Aronde, and Jonathan Brooks.
Wow. It's a super flex league. You got Danny Dimes, 103.
It's sad. Then he corrects himself saying it's a super flex.
It's sad.
It's sad.
I love it.
The profile picture is sad.
103. So you're getting your choice of the receivers there. Saquon Barkley, Oronde, Jonathan Brooks. You do get a quarterback back. I think I like that. It depends on where your team is. Do you need like absolute studs or do you need depth? And I think it's more just a team build type of question.
Mm-hmm.
Because realistically, what this trade does is it gives you a ton of depth. You'll probably be fine starting Danny Dimes as your QB2. Saquon's obviously a starter. Oronde, borderline starter. We'll see how okay, so you need a depth. So yeah, I think that's a great depth move to fill things out because Jonathan Brooks could end up being a starter on his team. 103. We'll see if that's a piece that you're going to be able to use this year. Hopefully, you'll be able to use that piece this year. So yeah, I think that's a good depth move overall. All right, are we ready? Oh no, we had 12 and then somebody left.
We got one more spot. They got afraid to draft with us, man.
They got scared. They were trying to draft after me, and they're like, "There's no way I can draft after Garrett because he's gonna take my player."
And that's every round.
Every round. There's no wrap. There's no wrap around. You got to just draft after.
Good old wraparound.
All right, there we go. We got our last guy in here.
Al Capone, aren't you in jail?
You would think.
Evasion?
You would think. I think he's also dead.
Is he?
I would assume so.
Okay, do we want 60-second picks?
Yeah, we'll say 60. That'll be good.
Slow draft, 8 hours.
Yeah, 8-hour picks. This is going to be the longest in history of football videos.
Yeah, maybe just draft nerd. I've seen some insane streams like
that were like football focused.
Oh, I'm sure that there's been some crazy Madden streams. Like most, I'm not going to stop the stream until the Browns win a Super Bowl, and I think that one's still going.
Yep, that one's definitely still going if that's the requirement.
If a time traveler visited you and you're like, I'm from 50 years from now. If you bet $1,000 right now that the Browns won a Super Bowl
in 50 years,
dang it. You'll get $50,000. And you'll know instantly, but you have to bet $1,000 that in the next 50 years the Browns would win a Super Bowl. Would you do it?
And I would find out today, and I would either win or lose the money today.
Yes or no, and you'd be like, or congratulations.
Okay, so since I don't have to wait 50 years to get the money, I would say I would go for it just for the law of averages. Would tell me that the Browns should win one in the next 50 years. But
as long as they're around.
All right. So this is actually really easy for me. Jordan Love, Fernando Mendoza, Kai Lemon, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson. No big surprises there. Pete, you went with Sadiq. I think makes a lot of sense. Casey Concepcion moving up a little bit. Emmett Johnson. That one's a surprise for me. I do not have him in my top 5 of running backs in this class. I don't think he's going until day 2, until day 3. So
this might be Andrew.
It might be Andrew. Eli Stowers getting some love now. I have Denzel Boston on the board. For me, that's a home run pick. To be able, if you're able to get Denzel Boston at the 110, I think that's a insane value, honestly.
Ooh, Price going 111.
All right, Jadarian going there.
Is it true that you guys are related? Because Jared did call him.
Yeah, he's my cousin.
Once. Okay,
yeah,
that's cool.
We can start that very true rumor.
Oh man,
look, just because something's a rumor doesn't mean it's not true. It's just a rumor.
And just because it's not a rumor doesn't mean it's a lie.
That is also correct. That's some hard hitting analysis right there.
Yep. You take that to the bank and win a championship with it.
All right, man. If I could walk away from my rookie drafts with Jeremiah Love and Omar Cooper,
Oh man.
I mean, I would be thrilled. Mendoza and Coleman. So far, these guys that were picking at the top get some really nice value there in the early second. Maybe these are, if some of these guys go, we might have some good value there. Chris Bell, okay. There's
I'm gonna be in a
what? Mike
spot.
Washington. I can't believe Mike Washington took that long.
Yeah. I think Mike Washington would be in Emmett Johnson's spot. I think there's a very good good chance.
Yeah. Ryan, that's a great point. I thought this class sucked. And you know what? It does still kind of suck. But I like Omar Cooper a lot. I think that's really good value. I've been big on Mike Washington.
Omar Cooper went 108 in our mock recently.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's fantastic value. So,
I have two players that I really want here, so I'm really happy. Jeremy Bernard and Jacoby Lane. I am going Jacoby though.
Ryan, so Ryan is definitely yelling at me. We got the all caps. Ryan, I'm sorry. You're right. This class does not suck. That is too hasty of me to say. This running back class is not good. And this quarterback class is not good. But the wide receiver class is a very good wide receiver class. And we have a very solid tight end class as well. So the class overall does not suck. But when you compare it position by position all the way through, outside of wide receiver, it is lacking compared to a lot of classes in recent memory. So
yeah,
I think that's the way, the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, I mean, oh, you're on the clock. Who you going here? Nicholas?
Definitely not Nick Singleton and Zachariah Branch. That's for sure. I would be totally fine taking Jeremy Bernard here. I think that's solid value. I'd be totally fine taking Antonio Williams. I am not in on Claiborne.
Jack Andreas, is that the guys from Dune's brother? What's his name?
I have no idea. I would also be fine, honestly, taking Nussmeier here. If it's a super flex, which it is, I would be fine taking him here. But I am gonna go ahead and take Jeremy Bernard. A lot of our guys here at Draft Nerds are really, really high on him, and I agree with them. I think he's a solid player. I think I'm the lowest of the four of us probably on him, but I do still really like Jeremy Bernard. I think he's a very solid player.
Yeah. No, that is the thing with this class, though. I think after 106, all these guys are projections. And like obviously that's what rookies are. But I mean, I remember 3 years ago in the Dynasty Nerds Invitational League, Brian Thomas went 204 to 203.
Yeah.
Like, and he was a lot better of a prospect than Concepcion, wouldn't you agree? Or am I just
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like so it's tough when that was a really good running back class. So was it?
No, that was a really good
That was a bad
class.
yeah. So that was
that wasn't a great running back class, but it was an incredible receiver class.
Yeah.
And last year we had an amazing running back class.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, I don't know that we're going to see eye to eye on this, man. When you only have one quarterback that you feel good about and the others are all question marks. When we look at every running back class over the past 5 or 6 years outside of 2024, then it doesn't compare favorably. And it's great wide receivers. I'm with you. Receivers are great. I think I hear you, and I don't think the class is bad overall, but it is the receivers that are saving it, not anything else.
So what are you thinking about Claiborne here?
We also had Jackson Dart. Now we'll see about Ty Simpson if he ends up going in the first or not. We'll see. But we also had Jackson Dart. And people thought we had Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, we didn't. What were you asking, Pete?
I was talking about Claiborne. What's your opinion on him?
I do not like Claiborne.
Okay.
I am he's actually got my lowest nerd score right now. I know he ran a good 40 today.
Ooh.
But
he might be my Kennedy Brooks.
He might be your Kennedy Brooks. Realistically, when you look at his size, he has one of the like one of the worst profiles at his size. He also led the class in fumbles and passes dropped. So dude just can't seem to hold on to the football. Man, all right. So it's up to me here.
Carson Beck is looking awfully tempting right now.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't hate taking Carson Beck. In a super flex, he's gonna have the ceiling at least, and that's all I really care about is ceiling. But I am going to go ahead and bite the bullet. I'll take Malachi Fields.
Okay.
I think he arguably had the biggest drop this weekend out of any player for fantasy football purposes. But I still think that there's a chance that he's a day 2 pick. I don't think he's dead in the water and now is going to be taken around 6. I still think he's going to be wait, Ryan, you're saying this is a better running back class in 2023? I think you're forgetting who was in 2023. That was Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane. That was one of the best running back classes we've had in a minute.
He must be meaning 24, right? That was the Jonathan Brooks, right?
Yeah. And I would say we have a better first player, but if we remove the best player, which I get is not entirely fair, but if you remove the running back 1 in that class and the running back 1 in this class, I would take 24 over 20 or this year. All right, guys. Well,
Max Clare being the last pick.
What's that?
Max Clare being the last pick. I like that.
Hey, a guy that can do a little bit of everything. Good old
I
think that wraps things up for us. Thanks for hanging out with us, talking combine, all that kind of stuff. We'll be doing some more live streams. We'll be doing the Nerd Score release coming up here within the next couple months. That's going to be coming up soon. We'll do some other live streams. Enjoy hanging out with you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out, and I will talk to you guys next time.